Murky waters filled with algae are making it very difficult for them to find any sign of this 48-year-old man. Mayor Anderson says that most people in this community are respectful and that council members are willing to hear everyone's opinion on Gay Pride weekend. The hot pools here at Lava are a main attraction for southeastern Idaho, which sees about $152 million of tourism each year. The Partner Valley Paint Fest Board is looking for at least 5 more homes to paint this July. According to Idaho state officials, being on or near a canal is actually trespassing because it is private property. Police can easily find a suspect who has a tattoo by returning to various tattoo shops and going through their photo catalog. If you're on probation or parole, employers can force you to have your urine test observed so that you can't alter the results. This wall here behind me is the one that needs to be replaced. And according to Larson and Associates, who installed it back in 1994, the carbon filtration system can no longer keep contaminants out of the drinking water. And we'll be here again at 6 o'clock with a look at how this festival is making all the difference in the world for some families. Brenda, back to you.
All right, thanks, Diana.
Surveillance cameras are helping police ticket drivers by mail across the country, but not here in eastern Idaho.
Live, the latest from the region's most watched news team. This is News Channel 6 New at 11.
Murder-suicide in Greenbrier County. That's new at 11 this Friday, August 2nd, 2002. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to News Channel 6. I'm Clayton Morris.
And I'm Candace Rotolo. A woman in Greenbrier County is dead. Investigators say 35-year-old Nancy Jo Gerald Farley of Alderson was shot yesterday 4 times by her husband, whom she had separated from last September.
And police say that after killing his wife, Albert Farley of Princeton shot himself in the head. Tonight, the alleged murder-suicide is raising some serious questions. News Channel 6's Dayana Bennett is live in our Raleigh County newsroom to explain. Diana?
Clayton, the fact is that Nancy Farley was already on the phone with a 911 operator when the fatal shots were fired. But you have to wonder why her next-door neighbor, who was home, says she heard the noise and didn't call 911, but instead called the landlord. That's new at 11. Our call to the managers at Ridgeview Estates weren't returned, so we couldn't verify whether or not they tell their tenants that they can't call 911. But as the next-door neighbor of Nancy Jo Farley, Maxine Trader, and her daughter Joanna both say this is what they were told when they moved in. Why didn't you call 911 when you heard the...
Well, from my understandings, when I moved in here, if there was anything happened, it was to, you to notify the landlord and not take it up on yourself to call the law or anything.
We went upstairs, tried to call the manager, couldn't get in, had to call the maintenance. They put in the code to get to the manager, and within 20 seconds after we had called the maintenance, the police were here, but she had called 911 prior.
Again, the police only arrived because Nancy Farley had called them, but with no walls separating the townhouses at Ridgeview Estates, loud noise travels through.
It was really unusual for that kind of commotion to be going on at Nancy's, but nothing out of the ordinary, since she had just brought the kids home, and they, if they had something new, they were all over that apartment with it.
One of the 4 bullets fired by shooter Albert Farley ended up in the home of Maxine Trader. Her daughter Joanne was standing right here in this kitchen preparing a ham sandwich. The slug from the bullet ended up on the floor, and the bullet shattered a jar of pickles that were sitting right here.
And how the shot missed her, I'll never know.
Whenever I turned around, I'd heard the banging, and just as soon as I turned around, took maybe 2 steps forward, the bullet came in front of me.
Greenbrier County Sheriff officials were the first to respond to the scene of what they're calling a murder-suicide. Lieutenant David Livingston says his goal when he entered the house was to check up on the children. He found a 2-month-old baby in a bassinet, a 3- and a 4-year-old baby, and they were all crying. He says he just wanted to get them out of the house and then check up on the victims.
Apparently had been problems there domestically for quite a while. It's just an unfortunate event. I feel sorry, and my condolences go out to the families, both families.
All 3 children are in the custody of their mother's family. The oldest was 4 years old, and he did go outside to the neighbor's window. She saw him but didn't think anything when his father came out and carried him back in the house. He's definitely a hero tonight for trying to save his mother's life. Clayton?
A very sad situation. Diana, thanks for that report tonight.
Dayana Bennett has a story of one farmer who has made hay while the sun shines.
Brenda, Don, and Julie Hale grow hay for horses across the country, and they are confident that there will be another year of high demand for their crop. At 53, Don Haley says he will soon be ready to retire from farming. He and his wife Judy and 9 kids have worked hard. Over the years, Don has harvested a wealth of hay knowledge, such as the value of eastern Idaho hay. Don says the drought and spring frost are to blame for the higher prices.
We need an increase, but the supply this year just isn't met the demand, and so we're encouraging people to get their hay early, because come November and December and January, I don't look to see a lot of carryover, if anything at all, this year.
He predicts there will be an increase in planting, and so far the demand is keeping up.
So we produce probably the highest quality hay that you can find anywhere, and it has to do with our elevation, our climate, our ability to have irrigation water.
Don also says farmers are not so willing to harvest new hay crops because equipment is not cheap and the labor is great.
Not everybody wants to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning and go out there and bale hay. We work long hours during harvest.
Don knows his market is changing even as quickly as new homes grow closer to his farm. Many of those with horses anxious to feed on his very product. The increased demand in his crop because of the drought, he feels for his many neighbors who are suffering with low wheat and potato prices. Brenda, back to you.
All right, thank you, Diana. Well, Dayana Bennett joins us now with a look at how cardiac patients in Pocatello and surrounding areas are getting a better chance.
Brenda, the time factor in responding to emergency cardiac patients is vital. The success rate of CPR is about 5%, whereas AED gives you a 30 to 80% chance of living. This year's trauma golf tournament benefiting the Pocatello Fire Department, helping paramedics save more heart attack patients with the automatic external defibrillator. Golfers and wannabe golfers alike taking on the green at Juniper Hills Country Club for a good cause.
We're going to try and make some money for the trauma unit.
Well, it's a great fundraiser.
Yeah, we've played for a couple years, so it's a really nice place, and the hospital does us well.
This tiny disc keeps about 4.5 hours worth of information for doctors to use in administering treatment to patients who have been treated with the AED.
Actually, I think American Heart Association eventually would like to get them just as common as a phone booth on the corner, because it's that time factor that's so important.
White says that the AED has already saved the lives of 2 people here in eastern Idaho.
The person, by the time they got there, the ambulance got there, it had shocked them once or twice, and by the time the ambulance got there, the person was sitting up talking to the ambulance crew, which...
The AED can be used with CPR, so health professionals want to see them more in public places such as airports and malls. Mark, back to you. Brenda.
The annual Mountain Man Rendezvous taking place today at the Massacre Rock State Park. That's just 10 miles west of American Falls. Reporter and city slicker Dayana Bennett joining us now. She spent the day learning about mountain living in the 1800s. Diana?
Brenda, it was a blast from the past out at Massacre Rocks today as mountain men, trappers, and traders set up for a weekend of ancestral living. The Charlies have been making this fried bread for 10 years now. Other mountain men can buy one for just $1.
Well, this is our first time, and we wanted to see what it was all about.
By the time we arrived, most of them had already built their primitive huts, except for one family. I learned that in the 1830s, women built the hut while the man got the meat. The other woman we found was not building a hut, but making a mountain man choker.
Oh, we hand make all our own things, and it's all pre-1838. And then we sell them to people who can't make their own.
Most of the mountain men claimed to be outlaws, so they didn't want to be on television, which most of them said they didn't even own. Reporting from Massacre Rock State Park, Dayana Bennett. And at 6 o'clock, we'll show you some things I learned from the best mountain men out there. Back to you, Brenda.
Looks like you did pretty well.
And a 1-mile stretch of New Smyrna Beach will be closed this weekend after a helicopter survey showed dozens of sharks swimming off the coast. 8 people in the last week have been attacked by sharks while surfing or swimming at New Smyrna Beach. Volusia County Beach Patrol officials surveyed the area by helicopter yesterday, spotting 30 to 40 sharks. The Beach Patrol captain says they are closing the beach to be on the safe side due to the frequency and number of bites occurring in a relatively short period of time. New Smyrna Beach has long been considered one of the finest surfing spots in Florida, and almost half the shark attacks this year have occurred there.